Don't I just have the cutest cat? Hi, I'm Oliver. Welcome to today's book discussion. So today I'm going to be talking about Hornito, my life, so hard to say, by Mike Aldo. Now, this book was recommended by one of my friends. Shout out to Orlando. And he said that he had read the book years ago, really liked it, thought it was funny and entertaining. So I said, you know, I'll give it a try, why not? And it's a book from a genre that I don't often read about, and it's queer literature. So I was like, win-win. So a suggestion and a genre that I don't usually read. Sold. Now, before going any further, we need to address two things. First, the cover. Well, actually it's one thing made out of two parts. The first one is the cover, and then the second is the title. Now, I started reading, the book on my way to work, and then, I noticed one person looking at the book, and it was like, holy cow, I have a book with, the chest of a man with a title that includes the word horny. So, yeah. From then on, I was, reading like this. Please don't look at my cover. Oh, it was horrible. And one of my colleagues at work actually, saw it as like, ooh, 50 Shades of Grey or what? No. So, there you go. And by the way, Hornito is linked with volcano and magma and lava, and it's just one of the chimney that releases sulfur and heat close to a volcano. So it has nothing to do with, know what I mean? Alright. So, the book is a piece of fiction / memoir / biography. It's one of those that mixes everything. So it tells the story of a guy, Mike, who is 27 and visiting his family back home. He comes from a military family. His father was a soldier. They travel around. They've been based into the same place for quite some years, and he lives in New York but goes back to his hometown to visit his parents and his brother and sister-in-law and the family, the friends, etc. And he reminisces about his life. So, in terms of the way it's written, towards the end it becomes somewhat more linear, but at the beginning it's horribly confusing because he keeps jumping back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So, you start reading and he's retelling, he's remembering a story that happened to him the week before, and then he jumps back to his story to his childhood when he was 4 years old, and then to when he was a teenager, and then to when he was a child, and then to when he was an adult, to a child, to an adult, teenager, child, teenager, adult. So it just keeps jumping back and forth in this crazy, it's almost like word association. It's not really like that, but it just goes back and forth. So it's not linear, and at the beginning it's a little bit confusing due to that. So the book is, so the author and the main character is gay, and he recounts his childhood growing up, and it's mostly filled with, a sad story of being bullied and being rejected from the people who were popular, and for being teased, and for his brother calling him a faggot, and all of that. So it's not happy at all. And then he, towards the end of high school, he becomes popular, and then he falls in love with a guy who sort of has a girlfriend but doesn't have a girlfriend, and he just moved into town and is this very worldly kid, and he's infatuated by this guy, so they start having sex, but then the guy has to leave, and then Mike itself is going to New York. So even that, which is, you know, he might be in a small town, he might not have come out, but you're like, oh, he meets someone and maybe it's going to be a little bit better. But no, the guy is somewhat of a jerk, and Mike is a little bit, well, he's immature emotionally. He's never had a boyfriend, he's never had a relationship, so he gets overtly attached to this man even though he shouldn't. So it's a little bit sad. And then he moves to New York, moves into the big city, starts having sex with people he doesn't really like. So, you know, we spend a lot of time reading about how he doesn't get along with the guy he dates, and how his dates are weird, and how he seems to be weird himself. Like, he seems to be somewhat socially retarded. Like, he seems to bring forth conversation subject that completely off topic. So you're like, oh my god, poor thing, you really don't know how you're supposed to act on a date. And then, since the book takes place into the when he's in New York and, you know, living the grand life, it's the end of the 80s and early to mid 90s, so it's the huge HIV/AIDS crisis. So, you know, he has to get tested and you might get AIDS, and meanwhile he has a job that's entirely not fulfilling, and he hates his job because it's a corporate job. I don't know what he wants to do with his life, but I know that the job that he has is not fulfilling and frustrating. And like, one of his coworkers, that he likes at work is one of those girls that only talks about herself, me. And then when he starts to talk about himself, she's the kind of girl who will say, you know, you really should, you know, you're overwhelming with your you story. You need to let the other people, you know, talk about their problems. And yet he surrounds himself with that type of person and seems to be happy to be friends with that person. And then he falls in love with a stripper or a go-go dancer that's already in an open relationship. So, I mean, and then he falls in love with him, and that's at the age of 27. So at the age of 27, he's doing the exact same thing he was doing at 17, meaning falling in love and pursuing a man that's completely unattainable and not good for him. And he keeps on saying, like, when he's back to, because like I said, he went back to his hometown and he's reminiscing and remembering a lot of things that happened to his life, either from his childhood or from the week before, you know. And you know, he just keeps on saying, maybe I should move to this hometown. Is that the only way that I could be happy, is find a boring man in the boring hometown and live a simple life? So wait, so that seems to, for him, to be his only options. Either have a very boring life with a boring man into the hometown, or keep on having this exciting yet frustrating relationship with this stripper in New York City. Really? That's the only two options that you have in life? Either completely not fulfilling, or exciting, frustrating, and not fulfilling? I mean, that's ridiculous that he's a 27-year-old man. I'm 27. He's a 27-year-old man who thinks that. My mind was blown. And he keeps talking about like a soulmate or whatever. I'm like, that doesn't exist. And he says, people say that, you know, but I fell in love with him, but you can choose who you fall in love with. That's right, you don't choose who you fall in love with, but you choose who and what you act on. So if you, even though you fall in love with someone, doesn't mean you have to act on it. You decide to act on it. Not good on your part, not smart. And, you know, he, like the roommate that he has in New York ends up sleeping with the stripper. even though, you know, Mike is not going out with the stripper because the stripper already has a boyfriend, so he's only fooling around and sleeping with him. And then he gets jealous because his roommate sleeps with the stripper in question. I mean, it's not cool, and yet you surround yourself with that type of person. Ugh. And especially like the last chapter, he keeps bouncing back and forth between the relationship he has as a 27-year-old with the stripper and 10 years earlier with the 17-year-old guy with whom he had his first sexual relations, or, you know, he was sleeping with a man. And at the age of 17 and 27, he's doing the exact same thing. So, everything about this book was frustrating and sad. I mean, there's nothing. So that's why I was so surprised. On Facebook, I had a discussion. I posted my feeling, and then my friend was like, "Oh, that's too bad," but I found it funny. I'm like, how could you have found this book funny or entertaining? This book is sad and frustrating and disappointing and and even more so, well, it's a real story, right? So it's even more frustrating because it's not simply the imagination of a writer. That's an actual person who did this. And then I feel extra bad because I'm judging what happens in this story, which actually happened to someone. Anywho, is this worth your time, your money? No. No. Andy, is it worth the secondhand embarrassment of carrying a book with a naked man and the word horny on the cover? No. So, yeah, it's not cool. And it's quite graphic as well. So, if there are any LGBT teens watching this, this is rated R, so wait until you're 18. That's all I gotta say. So, that was my discussion of Hornito, My Life by Mike Aldo. Not that great. Unfortunately, not that great. So, have you read this book? Is there another, did you like it? What did you think of his action? You know, is there another queer literature book I should check out instead? So leave everything in the comment, what you thought, what I should read, what you thought of the characters, what are your thoughts on love and relationships and stuff. So what do you think of the action of the character? I want to know. Am I the only one who thought that? Am I? I want to know. So no matter where you leave your comment, either on Facebook, here on YouTube, on Twitter, at the end of each month, I'm going to be doing a video responding to your comments, as well as responding them online. I'll make video out of them. So if you want to be part of the video, simply let me know what you thought. So there you go. Until next time, take care. Bye.